I had my guest today. Thanks, Cinnamon, for having coming to the show. She's an entrepreneur at Arthur. Um, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, usually the first thing I tell people is my name is Cinnamon Key, and yes, that is my real name. Because at some
Okay.
point the question comes up. At some point.
Okay.
Um, so I am
Miss Cinnamon.
yes, I am a licensed clinical social worker. Which basically means I'm a licensed therapist. I do have a private practice, but I also have my brand, Naturally Cinnamon, which is where I write my books and ebooks, and those things of those natures. I also have a nonprofit charity that does fundraising to help bridge the gap between people who may have lost their insurance and can't continue seeing a therapist. So we try to help bridge the gap by funding up maybe a few sessions as we can. And all of those things are housed under my parent company, Kiefer Enterprises. So yeah, I am an entrepreneur, as you
said. What made you? When did you know you wanted to become an entrepreneur? Like,
I think I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur probably. I may have been 11.
Okay.
I think I may have been 11, but I knew I wanted to be a career woman or a businesswoman when I was 8. I knew that. Okay. I tell a story that I remember we used to have play dates where we would all go to each other's house and play and stuff. So there would be about 3 or 4 of us girls would get together and we would bring all of our Barbie stuff. So the house, the car, the kitchen, the whatever, we would bring all our Barbie stuff. And their Barbies would be, going on vacation, and that was cool. And their Barbies would be getting married, and their Barbies would be having the babies or in the kitchen cooking. So their Barbies were always at home. My Barbie got up and put on a pantsuit and got her briefcase and got in her Barbie Corvette and went to work.
I know that's right. Oh, so that was 8. Okay. All right.
I was 8 years old when I realized I might be different.
Okay.
Yeah, something is different here. I thoroughly enjoyed just the appearance of a woman leaving her house to go like rock it, to go just stand in front of the boardroom and tell people what to do. I didn't even know what a boardroom was at 8 years old, but I just had this image of standing in front of a bunch of men with my pantsuit on, and I got a briefcase too, and I'm gonna tell y'all some stuff. Like that it's just 8 years old. That's been there. But around 11 years old is when I wanted to own, my first dream was I wanted to own a plaza, a one-stop plaza that had a hair salon, a barbershop, a clothing store, a shoe store, like all of those 4 different shops, but it was in one plaza. And so I owned the plaza and the stores in the plaza. So I think I was about 11 when I had that thought. I don't know nothing about doing no hair. I'm like, but I wanted the plaza though.
Okay. All right. Dreaming big.
Right. So I'll say that was probably my first introduction into, I think I want to run something. That's also all my life. All I remember is wanting to run something.
Okay. And when did you start your first business?
My first business. Well, okay. So you know how people tell you all the time, if you join my company, you can start your own business, different network marketing, MLMs, things like that. So I did those. I did what's Mishi bags. I don't even know if that's still around, but those were those purses that had the different outer shells, so you never had to change your purse. I did that. I did Mary Kay. I did that. I
Okay.
did I did passion parties. I was a passion parties consultant. So all of those different introductions, those were just introductions into what it's like to manage your time, manage your money, purchase materials for the purpose of selling it to make money, things like that. That was my first introduction
Okay.
into it, but I didn't own anything. I didn't own the business. I was
Right.
just, but I will say that I did get some knowledge into there. But my first official LLC, I owned the business, was in
Okay.
2009.
Okay.
Yeah, two or eight. No, I think it was 2008 actually, where
Okay.
I housed all of that stuff. I housed Mary Kay, passion
Hmm.
parties, and the Mishi bags under one organization. So everything that I
Oh
did
wow.
now was getting written off under the organization. So that's when I
Okay.
started to learn what it was like to do actual record keeping, bookkeeping, writing things off, checking to see what's my return on my investment. Did I spend too much money on this? Did I actually book any parties? Things like that. I started
Right.
really paying attention. Like, oh, so this is not for play. This is not.
Right.
This is different. Okay, okay. Um, so because I didn't know anything and
Right.
didn't really learn much, I ended up closing that business in 2010. So a lot of times
Okay.
people will be like, wow, you just started a business and you're so successful. Oh no, sweetie, I had one that flopped.
Right.
I just did
Right.
everything I
Right.
do now are lessons because I did have a whole
Right.
business that flopped. It was just
Right.
no, this ain't working. Let's go ahead and dissolve everything before I sink all my little money into something that's not working. So I
Right.
started the next business in 2014. And that's when
Hmm.
I started building the Kiefer Enterprises structure. And so
Okay.
between 2014 through even now, 2021, we were building. So 2021,
Wow.
I just put the
And
last
so,
little piece of the puzzle in. So I'm happy
so what made you get into the mental health field?
I tell people often, I wish I chose social work. Social work didn't choose but social work chose me. I didn't
Okay.
know if I could look back over my entire life, even as a child. I always cared more, probably too much sometimes, about other people's feelings and other people's
Hmm.
emotional state and if they were okay.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
and like I said, probably too much, but I always did. And I always wanted to be able to help. I had no idea what that meant. So at first,
Hmm.
I thought I wanted to be a school guidance counselor.
Hmm.
And I learned that I would have had to get an education, go the education route. And I was like, I don't want to teach nobody, child. I don't want to be in the classroom. That's not something I want to do. So I was like,
Okay.
well, that's it for guidance counseling. I don't want to do that. So then I was just like, I don't know. So I was like, well, maybe I should just study human behavior. So then I switched my major to sociology. But with
Okay.
sociology, studying the human behavior was great, but I wanted to actually do something. I wasn't doing anything with that. So I switched my
Okay.
major again. I
Hmm.
I have a love of finances. I like budgeting.
Okay.
I like following budgets. I like balancing budgets. I like playing around with numbers. I like doing things like that. So I thought maybe I'll be an accountant. Maybe I'll help people
Okay.
by getting their money together. Because if you broke, we sad. If we got some funds, we're
Right.
happy. So maybe I can help them.
We happy.
So I changed my major to accounting.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And after one semester of the class, I was like, no, I don't want to do this either. So I kind of just floated around for a while. I just got my associates and I just floated
Okay.
around for a while. Like, I don't really know what I want to do. I'll just work and earn money in the meantime. And then a friend of mine said, well, you need to be a social worker. And my first thought was, I'm not finna go take nobody kids. I'm like, I'm not, what makes you think I could do that? I can't do that. And she said, oh, that's not what social work is. So I went to, I was like, nah, I'm going to go into the hospitality and tourism industry. I like to travel anyway. I like events. I was just going to that. And I was traveling to go to a certain school to apply to get that degree. And I made a wrong turn and got incredibly lost trying to find that university. And I ended up finding a different university, and it was the one she suggested I look into. So I was like, oh, that's what she was talking about. Right. I was like, oh, so that's what she was talking about with the social work thing. Let me just pop in and see what they talking about. And so I popped in and they had some opportunities for me to talk to somebody who was actually over the social work program. This was during the holidays. So I'm surprised anybody was even on campus.
Wow.
So I talked to the program director for the Bachelor's of Social Work. That woman in that one conversation changed my life. Totally changed my life.
Wow.
I'm looking at this this Trinidadian American woman with dreads down past her butt, and she is just as real as they come. And I was just like, you are not what I thought social workers were. So
right.
She changed my life. And by the time I left that day, I was enrolled in college in the program and ready to start classes. Just
wow.
boom, boom, boom.
That's amazing.
Yep. And so I'm like, nope, social work called me. I did not pick social work. I didn't know. And then even then, I didn't know what I wanted to do with the degree. And just as time went on and I learned more and I learned about the opportunities that present themselves and where I wanted to go with it, I did some work in foster care, and I was like, I need to do more. I needed to do more because I think that I can catch these kids at a different area, in a different way. Then I went to work in the school system, and I was still like, this is good, this is more, but I still need to do more. And that's when I started the plans of making a private practice. And I was like, I need to be able to touch people where they deal with them, where they need to be dealt with, like where they are, meet them where they are, and then just go from there. And sometimes when you work for other people, you have to follow their red tape and their protocol, even if that's not exactly what you think needs to be done. So I was like, yeah, I need to start building so I can make my exit.
Okay. And so as a Black licensed therapist, what are some of the barriers or obstacles that you had dealt with?
Okay, well, barriers and obstacles. So being that I live in Miami, Florida, I live in an area of Miami, Florida that is considered predominantly Hispanic. And I say considered because I live here. I live here, I work here, I go to church here, I go to the grocery store here. I'm like, and so when I am out and about, I see everybody. I see all of us. I see Hispanic, white, Black, South American, Caribbean. Like I see everybody. So I'm like, where y'all get this from that everybody speaks Spanish? Now, is it a predominant language? Yes, it is. It is very strong that it's actually it's hard to get a job if you don't speak Spanish. It's hard. It's very hard. Wow. If you don't speak Spanish in Miami, you're just that much more limited. It's not easy. Wow. You can't just, and people, if you move to Miami, it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna work such and such and such. Depending on the industry, it's not that simple. So what I experienced was more of a language barrier. than a
Okay.
cultural barrier. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people here that don't speak Spanish.
Right.
There's enough.
Right.
As it stands right now, anybody who wants to get in on my calendar for sessions, they probably have to book 2 or 3 weeks, or if not a month in advance, because my calendar
Wow.
fills up. Why? Because somebody looked up and was like, "Oh, thank God she doesn't speak Spanish. I'll go to her." So
Oh,
that
wow.
was
That's a good
indeed,
thing.
yeah, there was a barrier. And so when I decided to start my practice in this area, a lot of other Black practitioners were like, "Why are you starting your practice there? Why don't you start it over here? You'll get more Black people." And I was like, "No, there are Black people where I live.
Right.
I live here. I'm Black. So clearly there's more of
Right.
me." Like, I know there's more people
Right.
that's here, and I want to be able to be accessible to them.
Right.
We shouldn't have to drive 50 miles to get to a therapist. It shouldn't have to be that way.
True.
I should be able to drive
True.
15. Like, why,
True. True.
so I was like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and start it here. And you know what? If anything, I could always move if it doesn't work out.
Right.
It is more than working out. So
Or you could even open up another office in another area. So you still have
that's
that
the
option
plan.
too.
That is the plan,
Right.
to
Right.
branch out. And but yeah, there was a language barrier. There's of course the barrier, but I will say the barrier of African American people seeking therapy is surely breaking down. That is a barrier
Okay.
that's
That's
breaking
great.
down it's breaking down nationwide. It's breaking down across the board, of people who are not seeking therapy is not as taboo in our community as it used to be. So I'm
Now, why
very,
would you think that it's breaking down? Why
I
would you
think
think? Is it
because
because there's more of us or more therapists of color?
that's
Okay.
exactly what I think. That's exactly what I think. Because I mean, traditionally speaking, if a Black person needed counseling, they would go to their preacher, their pastor, their minister,
Right.
for some sort of counseling, or they would seek out some of the elders in their communities or in their families. But going to an actual therapist, not
Right.
really, not so much. And it probably was because for so long, therapists didn't look like us. And it wasn't just that they didn't look like us, they didn't understand what I was trying to say. Because I have clients
Right.
that are
Right.
not African American, but people are still willing to come to me. It has got to be my willingness to learn them from them.
Right.
But it's kind
Okay.
of hard to do if you only see things a certain way. So it's
True.
very difficult. Also, traditionally speaking, the African American community, we were taught to keep things
Right.
like, don't take your business out, don't air your dirty laundry, don't tell your business, keep everything close to
Mm-hmm.
home, don't you tell nobody out this, what happens
Mm-hmm.
in this house stays in this house. So traditionally speaking, going to talk to somebody, we didn't do that. We
Right.
didn't do
But
that.
but then look what it's doing now. But
Mm,
look what it's doing now, because now you'll have generations where this secret or these issues has carried on, and because why people didn't seek the professional help,
mhm.
we're dealing with it maybe 3 or 4 generations down the line.
Absolutely, completely accurate, because they didn't seek any help, but also where were they going to go for it even if they wanted it?
True. Right.
So I
Right.
think both things
Right.
have happened. I think there's been such an increase in representation. Like, we're here and we're being loud about the fact that we're a therapist. Because let me tell you, when I first decided I was going to be a social worker, the very first thing that I
Okay.
heard was, "You ain't gonna make no money."
Oh, that's the first. That's
Well,
always.
gee, thanks. I just went through all these different career options to find something I'm actually passionate about. Finally found it. I'm excited, and I'm so okay. Thanks. Um, so I had to get over openly saying, that I wanted to become a social worker because I did not want to keep getting that same response from people. So being a social worker, having that good government job as a social worker, and you got your benefits and all this other stuff, people are like, oh, okay, you living. So my next thing was like, so yeah, I don't want to just be a social worker anymore. I want to be a clinical social worker. I want to do therapy. A few people were like, okay. And some people were like, why you want to do that? What, you just gonna sit around, listen to other people's problems and tell them what to do? Yes, so therapy is not sitting around listening to other people's problems and telling them what to do. That's not what that is. So it took a lot of education and talking about what therapy is and what it isn't. But the hardest barrier for me was in church. That was where I faced my biggest obstacle, because it was like, oh, we don't do that. We just take it to the Lord. Or you call your deacon, or you. They were like, you want to be a what? I was like, oh. So I just didn't say. I kept it quiet. I didn't say anything to anybody for a very long time as I was becoming a therapist. I even got certified as a life coach, so I could start saying, oh, I'm a life coach, because that hit the ears a little easier. But I didn't want to tell nobody I was going to be a therapist, because I just didn't want to hear it.
Wow.
I just didn't want to hear it. But while I was working in the school system and I'm seeing how certain kids were being labeled, and I have my mental health background, and I'm just like, that's not right. That's not right. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm speaking up. That's it. I'm saying something. Like, y'all, and that's when I started getting my confidence to just own the fact that this is what I do. This is what I do. So now, it's funny, now I don't care what anybody thinks, says, doesn't. I don't even notice. I don't even notice, because now I'm like, yeah, I'm a therapist. Yeah, I'm a Black therapist. Yeah, I'm a female therapist. Yeah, I'm a Christian therapist. Yes, I'm a Black female Christian therapist. What's your point? So I'm getting like it. I've gotten over that. But it was a little intimidating in the beginning for me.
I believe. Oh yeah. I mean, I can see that, and I mean, I just commend you for getting over that hurdle, because of just the stigma alone in the Black community is that we don't go get help. We keep our problems, or like you said, we'll pray about it and let God handle it. And then, like I said, you're seeing generations later that effect of not getting a professional help.
Absolutely. So I even the book that I wrote was even like a undercover therapy session. It's a.
Then how did the book come about?
Well, okay. So the book is called Crying is Allowed. And because I was like, it's more than just crying, it's really expressing your emotions. We're allowed to do that. We are allowed to do that. We don't have to portray ourselves as being strong all the doggone time. We don't have to portray ourselves as having it together all the doggone time. We don't have to portray ourselves as if things don't bother us all the time, because none of those things are true. What is true is some things hurt. What is true is sometimes I want to cry. What is true is I don't feel like being bothered today. I just can't handle certain things. Those are the things that are true. And as long as we continue to fake it, that whole fake it till you make it, baby, that only works so far. That only works so far. What are you going to do when you can't fake it anymore? And now the volcano has erupted because you wouldn't let those emotions out to begin with. Let those things go. Let it flow. You are allowed to let it out. That's permitted. There's nothing, it doesn't make you any less of who you are. It doesn't make you any less capable of accomplishing whatever it is you're trying to accomplish by the fact that you say, you know what, I need a minute. Who did you just hurt? No one. but you helped yourself. So
Right.
I'm like, I was getting
I mean,
client
they
after
talk about it
client.
all the time.
Yeah,
All the time. You
exactly.
like, yeah, yeah. You gotta express your emotions. You really do, and
I was getting
that's key.
client after client that's like, I just can't say this or I can't feel that. And I'm like, yes, you can.
Right.
Yes, you
You
absolutely
allow yourself.
can. Oh, but the other person's gonna think this. Then that's between them and their therapist.
You said, give him my number.
Right. That's not your bag. That's not your issue. We're here for your
Right.
issue. That how they respond to the fact that you had a moment where you needed to cry, that's their issue.
Right. Right.
So I wrote that book for people who were still insistent that they were not going to go to therapy. Okay, you don't have to go to therapy,
Okay.
but you need to read this book.
Right. That's true. So what keeps you going? Because you just busy, busy, busy. What keeps you going, striving? Where do you get this energy from?
I truly, truly, truly love this. I love
Okay.
every moment of it. I even like the frustrating parts, which is that's so weird to say out loud now that now that I said that out loud. It's like, ooh, that sounds weird. But I do, even the frustrating moments where I'm like, I need to go and just scream and holler and whatever. I'll be like, yeah, but I'm screaming and hollering over something I am in the driver's seat of, which was the goal
Right.
anyway. This is the dream. This
Right.
is my dream.
Right.
And I'm actually living it. I actually had the guts and the courage to do this. I actually had the guts to write that letter of resignation from my job.
Right.
Scared.
Right.
I was typing, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. When I sent it in, I was like, oh, I can't believe I actually did this. It was like, even though it's something I wanted, it was still wow, this is really happening. I'm really doing this. I am so elated to even have the opportunity to be able to do this. So that's probably what keeps me going. It's just like, this is great. I love this. I want to do more of this tomorrow. So I think that's just it. It's just that this is exciting. This is exciting, and it's and I'm helping. I am helping. I am even if it's somebody who comes to me and wants a session, which, and I do this frequently, that they want certain services that I know I'm not probably the best person for them to access the services, such as substance abuse. I am not well trained to deal with substance abuse, and therefore I will not. I just don't believe that's something I should play around with somebody's health with. So, and I don't care what you're trying to pay me, I'm not gonna take it because your life is at stake here. So, and I'm not losing my license for nobody. So I'm like, no.
Right.
So
I don't blame.
Yeah, I will refer to someone. I'm like, listen, I think that from what you explained to me, you would probably benefit better from someone who is more trained for this. And I've had people push back. I've had them push back. No, but I want to see you. I understand that's what you want. I think you need to get this under control, and then you can see me maybe for some maintenance. But this is the person that is going to be able to really service you well. It's not me, and I'm not going to add you to my client log. The people are their feelings are so hurt, and I'm so sorry, but I would rather try to save your life than get $1.
Right. Do you think sometimes they do that because they built that rapport and they trust? The trust is key. And so it's like they just don't want to build another rapport with someone else? Because sometimes with some people, it takes a long time to build that trust with their therapist.
Well, certain things
You think that
I try to hit up. And I actually had a friend of mine go through this recently, unfortunately. I'm not gonna say good, but a therapist worth their weight, I'll say that, will in the first session or two gather as much background information on you as they possibly can. So I need to know up front if you use any substances, what's the frequency, no judgment. I don't have any judgment on what you do. I just need to know and what your presenting symptoms are. What am I looking at here? Because one person may say, I'm coming in because I'm feeling depressed. And really what's causing you the depression is that you got some alcoholism, or maybe they're co-occurring and they're going together. So listen, you need somebody who can help you with the depression, but also that alcoholism. I'm not trained in that. You need somebody who's trained to recognize certain key symptoms, everybody who goes through a therapy training, our schooling, our licensing and everything, we are exposed to all of these things. But there are people who, after getting their licenses or after getting their training, go in depth and study substance abuse, use, alcoholism, cannabis, prescription drug use. They go like nosedive into that specific arena. Those are people who know more than I do about that specific thing, certain key factors to look for in their treatment with the client. That's the therapist that client needs to see. And I would like to know that. If I can figure that out before even the first session, then I'm not even going to meet with you. I'm going to refer you over here and follow up to make sure that you actually did go and seek the services, and that you didn't take what I said as a rejection and then go drink yourself silly. That's also not helpful. So, but me talking to you about depression when really you got an alcohol problem too, I'm not servicing you. I'm not doing right by you. Every therapist's goal, I'm not gonna say every, my goal as a therapist is for my clients to fire me. That is my goal. And I tell them that in the very first session. My goal is for you to say, I don't need you anymore, because you have gotten to a place of self-sufficiency, that everything that I was able to teach you, everything we were able to process, everything that you're able to now take up and carry into the rest of your life, you're able to do that. And we may have tune-ups from time to time. I have clients come back and they'll do like 4 sessions, and then I don't hear from them again for 9 months. Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine, because that means you don't need me. And that was the goal anyway. So yeah, I want to make sure that any client that comes on board, my job is to help you transition. That is my job. And my job is to help anybody transition. We don't just, and I tell my clients, we're not going to just go through this, we're going to grow through this. So I will help you grow through this, because once we're done with this, you're going to come out better, stronger, wiser. You're going to stand a little taller. You're going to be a little more confident, and you're not going to need me. That's it. You know, and that's with therapy, with coaching. By the time you finish any program that I've taken you through, any webinar, e-course, book, whatever it is, my goal is on the other side of that we've grown through whatever this is. If I can't do that for you, then I need to get you to who can. You know, so that's kind of where I.
That's a good accountability. So what else are you working on, Ms. Cinnamon? You have coming up that you want everybody to know about?
Well, I've recently launched, as if I need to do another thing, right? I've recently launched the Resilience Society. The Resilience Society is where women can get together. Any woman who is going, like I said, going through with the desire to grow through and wants to pick up different tools, tips, tricks, have one-on-ones, That's where I do my live podcast recording through this Resilience Society. It's called the Resilience Society Podcast, so easy to find.
Okay.
And
All right.
we do different talks, workshops, Q&As that are exclusive to the groups. I just had recently an interesting health development, and I have to now do some things as a result. So I'm documenting all of that directly into the Resilience Society because I want them to see resilience in action. I don't just preach this, I live this. And it's how I'm able to get through. It's how I was able to get through when I was raped. It's how I was able to get through when I tried to kill myself before I even became a therapist. It's how I'm able to get through when things come up and just throw me all the way off balance in my life. Resilience is what is able to help me get back. And so I want to live it out loud. Resilience in action. I'm documenting it. Nobody can see it outside of the Resilience Society. Sorry. By the time anybody
else hit you up to get the joint.
Yeah, the resilientsociety.com. That's it. So it's really easy. Just type in the resilientsociety.com. Right now, it's only $2 a month to join. Right now. Eventually, it'll go up for the other people. But right now, it's only $2 a month. $2. As what do they say? Less than a cup of coffee a day.
How about that? Coffee a day, that's $3, 3 times 30, that's $90, $2. That's not bad. Yeah, get it while it's hot.
Yeah. So that's so those are the types of things that we do in the Resilience Society. Is we do share, we have the live broadcast, and of course the podcast goes live on the actual podcast platforms, but we do have a live Q&A, and that is exclusive to the group.
Okay. That's good. That's excellent. And what advice would you give people that are thinking about or want to be an entrepreneur? They just again, I know when you were saying it was hard for you to, write your letter to resign from your position. What advice would you give people that maybe facing that kind of problem? They don't want to walk away. They don't know how to walk away from their current job.
Well, I would say definitely get a coach, get a business coach. I am not a business coach. However, I do provide therapy and coaching for entrepreneurs. So it's a little different. I'm not a business coach. I'm not going to coach you into how to get your business running and up and scale and all of that stuff. But I am going to talk to you about how your mental state is doing in the process. So that is something that is coming. The Resilience Society will know about that first before the rest of the world does. But my recommendation would be to have a safe space that you can do all your processing, because there's a lot to process. It's not just about the business that you want to run, create, build, or anything like that. You've got to look at what is your personal finance situation like. You've got to cover yourself with health insurance now. Are you, health insurance, long-term disability? What are the other things you need to have in place? You leaving your job, you're probably leaving behind some retirement. What are you going to do about that? Because we still want to retire someday. I don't want to be 80 and working for nobody.
Right.
I don't want to run my own company when I'm 80. I don't want to do that. So I need a retirement plan. Different things like that. You need to be able to set it in place, but you need to be able to process those things in a safe space where you can be afraid and it's okay, where you can say, my job has given me so many opportunities and I'm actually going to leave them. I might feel a tinge guilty. You need to be able to process those things. So be it a therapist, a business coach, and don't let it be your best friend. Get somebody else, not your best friend, not your husband or your boyfriend, not the people that you would normally go to. You need somebody objective that can say what they need to say to you and hurt your feelings.
True.
You need to somebody else, get somebody else, and you might have to pay them, and that's okay, because sometimes you have to invest in yourself to go from one place to the next. So my recommendation would be, as anybody is processing these things, to have a safe space to process the different steps that they'd have to take, the different emotions that are going to come up for them, the different stages that they're about to transition through, all of that stuff. And see, this is why I want to start something just for entrepreneurs, because everything that you got in your life is going to be magnified once you start your business. If you have the tendency to procrastinate, that's going to be in your face times 10 when you start a business. If you have a habit of being really detail oriented and OCD, that's going to be in your face times 10 when you start your business. So you're going to have a safe space to deal with and process all of that stuff as it comes up.
True. Well, thank you, Cinnamon, for taking some time out to come and talk with us, so the audience can hear your story. I want to applaud you just for being the person that you are and following your dreams and just, shooting for the stars and not letting anything come in your way, and also just being able to be your authentic self and, and let people just see who you are. So thank you again. And I'm always rooting for you. Anything we can do here at the radio station, just let us know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we were able to connect.
You're welcome. Yeah.